It's the Thursday Live, everybody. Let's see here. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Thanks for joining today. Brandon here, back again on Thursday, going live. So today we are continuing on the desk build. We started it last week for the AWFS conference. It's going to be right here. So I'm trying to remember what we did last week. Basically what we did was I went ahead and cut these bevels on this countertop. Before the live, I ended up having to mill this up. This and this are one solid piece. So we cut it to length, cut the width, made a little strip for the top here. And then I went ahead and cut all these 45 bevels on it just to give it a little bit of a cleaner design look. Last week we also took this 1/4 inch plywood that was on the faces here, and I went ahead and scribed all around it, getting a nice clean fit. Had to adjust some angles and make sure there was no lines and creases, make sure these 45s were good. So after the live last week, I continued on working on it. I got this piece put together. Basically, this is just 3/4 inch plywood. Let me show you here. And this is all just set on there for now. Let me get you guys a little bit closer here so you can see better. Zoom right in here. All right. So basically, for now, this is just sitting on here. And this is just a 3/4 inch plywood. 45 on the edges there, glued up. Did the whole blue tape on the edge and then folded it with the glue. And it's nice and solid, locked together now. Also put these little L brackets on so that when I'm ready to install the countertop after I paint this, it's gonna be easy just to put some screws in and it's good to go. And I also marked on the bottom side of this where these are and pre-drilled the holes. So that's all set to go. So like I said last week, we put this 1/4 inch skin on, or I was cutting it to shape live. And then after that, I went ahead and shot some adhesive behind it and taped up these corners and everything, and then folded them, did a miter fold with the tape and glue. Got a nice clean edge going all the way down. A little bit of gap down there, but I can fill that with wood putty. So yeah, this is officially ready to, almost ready to get painted. So today, what we're gonna be working on during the live is I'm gonna be showing you what I'm gonna be doing for the tops here. So I need to be sanding these down and throwing some finish on it. Now last week I had talked about doing some samples of the Walrus Oil products, and I decided against using those just for this specific project for time's sake, because I'm trying to go through it pretty quickly to get it done. And then a lot of those are oil-based, so it's gonna take a good amount of time to dry in between coats, as well as sanding and everything like that. So what I decided to go with, let me show you. Grab it off the bench over here. So what I decided to go with is the Watco Wipe-On Poly. So traditionally, like in the past, and this is the clear satin version, in the past I've not really using water-based products just because you get it nice and sanded the way you want it, and then you put it on and then the grain pops again, and then it's just kind of annoying. However, in this case, what I'm gonna do is, and I've already tested this on a test piece, I'm gonna go ahead and lay a coat of this on because this hasn't been water popped at all. So I'm gonna lay a coat of this on as a water popping kind of layer. And then once that pops and dries in place, this almost acts kind of like a sealer coat. So basically all those fibers that are stuck up, they're gonna be essentially glued in place. That way the sandpaper can cut it off instead of compressing them back down, and then they'll pop up later with another coat. So that's kind of the premise of what I'm doing today with the tops anyways. And then I need to just do a light sanding on these, get them prepped for primer. So essentially what we're doing is the tops, this one here that's gonna go on top of this, and then this countertop here, they're gonna get stained just a natural clear finish, like I said with this one. And then this guy, excuse me, my throat's a little dry today, so bear with me. So this guy's gonna be painted black as well as this. So we're gonna kind of have like a black natural wood, black natural wood on top there again. So that's kind of what I need to be working on right now, is I'm trying to prep the sides and the front for primer. Just getting those just nice and sanded, getting these corners softened up just a little bit, and then essentially just get those ready for primer. Once I do a layer of primer, I'm gonna have to do a light sand to prep it for paint anyways. And then, like I said, working on these tops, getting them sanded down, and getting the first coat of finish on there. So that's what we got going today. I think what I'm gonna be starting on is going ahead and getting these tops, getting that first coat on there, just because I do want them to dry. Now this stuff does soak in and dry fairly quickly. The other stuff I put on, I think it took maybe 30 minutes to dry completely, and I was able to sand it, throw another coat on. So let me see if it says, so it says allowed to dry for 2 hours before applying the second coat. I'm not worried about it. As long as it's dry to the touch and it's not gonna gum up my sandpaper, I'm just looking to kind of seal the coat. That way I can start sanding. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. Something important is, I didn't do this earlier in my career, but I learned the hard way that you need to seal both sides of a countertop. So you need to seal the underside as well as the top. Otherwise, if you just seal the top, then moisture can get in the bottom and swell the wood, and then it's gonna cup and warp and do all this weird stuff. So you really need to seal every edge, every side of your countertop, even if it's not gonna be showing. You don't have to do a pretty job, but it does need to be sealed in some form. So, like I said, all of these are just chilling on here. This countertop's just sitting on there. So, yeah, I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna take this off for now, set it aside. Oh, and look at that. We got our Bridge City tool display chilling over here that we built on the previous lives. If you wanna see how we built that, go check out those previous lives that we did. Also, for those on Instagram, I am wearing a mic, but it's only gonna be picking up on YouTube. So if you're interested in better audio, go over to YouTube. Also, I feel a little silly saying that, because last week I told you the same thing. Go over to YouTube, you'll get better audio, and then turns out my audio receiver died like, I think 10 minutes into the live, and the rest of the live there was like no audio, which was really annoying. But everything's charged today. Got my mic on, it's charged, receiver's charged. So again, better audio is gonna be on YouTube. I promise today it won't go out. Okay, cool, so I'm gonna get into it. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna basically just bring these tops and set them over on our workbench. So I'm gonna bring them over and just set them on here, and then we'll get going. So, okay, so here's a little example. I just threw some poly. This was basically raw wood. I put the water-based poly on, let it kind of, it did pop the grain quite a bit and got pretty rough. Hence why I don't want to go ahead and sand everything nice first and then put it on, because it's just gonna pop the grain again. So I put that on, and then I went ahead and let it dry until it was dry enough to sand, sanded it down, and then that grain didn't pop at all the next time that I put poly on. So this is like 2 coats, and I do like how it keeps it a really light, natural finish. It doesn't darken the wood at all, because that's what I'm going for, just a really light finish. And I wanted something that's gonna soak in and be pretty durable as well, because it's gonna be having stuff on it, it's gonna get used, so wanted something a little durable. Did a little bit of testing on the edge too. Oh, as well as on the top of the, what I did this morning before starting the live was I kind of prepped the 2 tops, and that top edge here, I went ahead with a 1/8 inch round over bit on my 1/4 inch router, just went around and softened that edge around the entire surface. So I got that nice and cleaned up and ready to be sanded and finished. So that's what we're gonna work on right now. And I think I'm just gonna start with a little, probably just one at a time here. I'm not gonna get into try to do both super quickly. I do need a couple little things to stick under it. Just grab some scrap pieces here. Okay, those will work. And it's always a pretty good practice to stain or finish the bottom of your piece first. That way, if there is any, like for instance, if this were the top, and then I needed to flip it over and stain the other side, it would be touching the wood. So if there are going to be any marks from anything holding it up or damaging the finish, you definitely want that underneath. So bottom first, flip it over, and then do the final coat on the top. Or not the final coat, but that's the process we're going through. So that's what we're doing today. And as you can see, I got 2 little holes here drilled for my brackets, pre-drilled. I got my mark here, which I'll probably sand off anyways, but just a little bit of reference point for me. So I've got this, some gloves, and I do need to find a rag that I can use here. Kind of get in a little closer, just to give some more, so you guys can see what we're doing here. One thing we need to get for the shop is more rags. Had some floating around here somewhere, but I don't know where they ran off to. So I might have to run and find some real quick. We do have some more like dirty rags and stuff, which actually I'm just gonna use those because I'm not quite doing like a finish layer and it's gonna get sawdust and everything else on it anyways, so I'm just gonna go with this rag here. Oh, I take it back. I found some other ones. Scratch that. Got some. I'm just going to use a microfiber too. It is going to stick to the grain quite a bit, but once we start sanding it down and getting it smooth, it'll be fine. For now, I just want something to absorb the finish and carry it all the way through. That way I'm not going back and forth trying to put all this on. All right. So, little recap, water-based poly, wipe on poly, it's gonna soak into the wood, seal the grain, and then we'll sand it after, so that's what we're starting. We're gonna do that for both of these tops, the one that goes on top and the one that's the main countertop. So I'm gonna lay it on a little heavy, at least at first, so that it can go ahead and soak in. I'll go back and do these edges after. It's actually not sticking, the rag is not sticking to the fibers as much as I thought it would. And again, this isn't like the finish coat or anything, so I'm just trying to get it on here so it soaks in, but also not too much to where it takes forever to dry. So just trying to get a nice coat on there, get those fibers sealed in place. I'm gonna work around the edges a little bit. Now the end grain is gonna soak up a lot more, so we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on that if it needs a couple more coats than the top and the bottom. The comment section, but for those of you who do use water-based finishes, I'm curious how you go about doing it because, like I said, with my experience in the past using water-based finishes, I'll kind of get a coat on there and then I'll sand it up to whatever grit that I'm trying to sand to, say like 220. And then as soon as I put that water-based finish, it just pops everything back up and it's not smooth anymore. So I'm curious how the techniques that you guys use to do that. If there's anything special to do. Okay, that's good on that side. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over and then throw some on the top. Actually, I'm just gonna dump some on there. Ooh, making a little snake. Yeah, I find that it's a little bit difficult to figure out like kind of the ideal finish. I guess it varies from project to project what use you're using or what need you need what need you need for the finish. If you need it to be like more waterproof and durable, or if you're just looking for a certain sheen. But like I find that oil-based finishes, honestly, I think look the best, but they take forever to dry. At least the good ones do. There are some that are like a kind of a hybrid that they don't take as long to dry, but right. Make sure there's no drips going down on the edges. Okay, that's good to go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab some more little sticks to put this on. My sander out of the way. Right, now we're just gonna get that drying. We're gonna start on the big top. The big boy. Get that one going. Just in case we tip it over. Still heavy. Okay. All right, let's check some comments, see if anybody's saying anything in here. Stacy Lewis Designs, hello everybody. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for joining. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Thursday so far. All right, let's keep going. Creamy. Yummy. I'm gonna make the rag a little bit bigger, get more surface area on this one. Right. It's pretty good. Take just a second here. And for those of you just joining, what we're doing right now is just basically putting a sealer coat on. It's just a water-based poly. Just trying to seal those fibers in place, as well as kind of pop the grain as we go. All right, bottom's good on that one. I'm gonna flip it over. How do I want to do this? Lift it. Get my workout in. Right, let's pop the top. Also, something to note is when you're doing water-based finishes, especially, you definitely don't want to do just one side, because then you're introducing moisture to just one side and then it's going to swell the fibers of the wood will swell and then cause warping, and then it'll bow or cup and stuff like that. So you definitely want to do both sides at once when you're doing it with water-based finish. Okay, and it looks like this other one's already drying. Let's feel if it has any, if I can get this glove off. Jeez, man. Yeah, so this one's already drying, and it's very rough. Again, the whole water popping effect of when you put that water-based finish on. And this wood specifically, I can't remember what species this is. It's I can't remember. It's some weird species countertop from Lowe's, but it has this grain that's very, it pops really hard when it does pop. So definitely gonna have to give it a good sanding and make sure everything's nice and smooth afterwards. But yeah, it's drying fairly quickly. So now what I'm gonna jump over to, waste no time, and I'm just gonna let this one sit here. Save those gloves. All right, now what I'm gonna jump over to is sanding the cabinet portion. I'm just gonna do a light sanding on this. I'm gonna start with 220. And that should be fine because I'm also going to be priming this anyways, so I don't need it to be 100% ready for finish, or like paint ready, for instance, but I do want it smooth enough to where it's not going to have rough spots that I have to sand a lot of primer through. Bring over our Surf Prep sander, attached to our Surf Prep vac system. And I got 220 on here already. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding it down. I'm gonna do this other side. I'm not gonna bring the camera over there, but it should be quick. Turn the speed down, so I don't want it too fast. Don't want to sand through any veneer. All I'm doing is taking off any high spots. All right. I am gonna throw on a new piece of 220 sandpaper just because I'm using an old piece right now and I'd like to speed up the process a little bit. If I can find one, there we go. Shout out to Surf Prep Sanding for giving us this awesome sander to work with, and the dust collector too. We got all hooked up. Okay, easy peasy, just line up the holes, give it a good slap. Make sure it's all on there, and then we're ready to go. One thing I should say too is when you're sanding plywood especially, this is just maple ply from Lowe's. They do not use a thick layer of veneer. So you don't want to go really any lower than 220, I would say. If you go down to 150 and your speed's too high on your sander, you're going to blow right through that veneer, and then good luck trying to put finish on that without it showing. So definitely turn your speed down a little bit. You don't want to take off material. You're just looking to cut any fibers and smooth everything out. So just a little tidbit for you. And I should probably turn the sander back on. There we go. And I'm applying very light pressure and just making sure that the sander stays completely flat. I don't want to put pressure on one side or the other, or front or back. Just making sure it stays completely flat. You don't want those points because then you're going to wear, like I said, wear through the veneer really fast. So just keeping it flat and light pressure. Keep going around the corner here. I'm going to go back with this scrap piece of sandpaper here, and I'm just going to go over this corner to kind of break that sharp edge. Just give it tiniest little round over. This is also going to help the paint, because if you have a super sharp edge, the paint's gonna, you just touch it like that after it's dry and it's gonna come right off. So if you got a tiny little round over, it helps with the paint to stick on there, not to rub off as easy. That's nice and smooth. No fasteners in the corner, which is nice. Gives a good clean look. Pretty smooth, feeling pretty good. Hit this knot section a little bit. Continue around here. How we looking? Only Raven's Horn says hello, everyone. Well, hello there. Hung says hello. Gabe says hello. Everyone says hello. Well, hello to you all. All right, feeling good. Moving on. All right, side feels good. Move on to this last third side. Sure we got enough room with our hose and cord. I'll just take this corner. Same thing we did on the other side, just kind of a nice little round over, cut that hard edge off. Cool, it's looking good. Looking good, feeling good. Everything's good. All right. And for those of you who are the sanding narcs out there, we had a little section on the bottom that you see I couldn't really sand that well down to. I'm not worried about it because I'm going to be putting a kind of a piece of trim around the base anyways, so I'm not worried about that. As well as the top here. I did sand that, but I'm gonna be putting a little scribe piece under there as well, so that we get a nice tight fit up against the countertop once it's on. So that's that. Let's jump back over to our countertops and see what we got going here. See how we're looking. Try to get a good angle for you guys. Not bad, not bad. So this is dry to my touch. Yeah, I think that's definitely dry enough to sand now. So I'm gonna go ahead and back on and then give this a light sanding and see how that works out. Got our hose all curly queued up. Oh. There it is. Okay. All right, let's see how that does. Got a little bit of gummage, I like that word, a little bit of gumming going on the sandpaper. I'm gonna try to use my little rubber thing to get that off. See if that helps at all. So I wish you guys could feel the difference between this and this. Is just night and day. I mean, this is just, you could probably hear the difference actually. Give me a sec. I'm gonna get my mic up close so you people on YouTube can hear the difference. So we have this and then this. Just butter smooth and then really rough. So that's kind of the goal, was to do like kind of a sealer coat. That way we get those fibers locked in place and then we slice off the ends and basically smooth it out so that everything's kind of nice and laid out evenly and gets nice and smooth. I'm gonna go ahead and try the edges here and see what kind of action we got going on. Pretty nice. So I think what I'm going to do is actually not drop that sander. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually jump down a grit because this is almost not taking off enough or as fast as I'd like. So I'm going to jump down to 150 and see if we can work with that or if it's going to take it off too fast. So we'll see. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if you can see it on camera. Not quite. Let me get a little closer. Maybe you could see. Okay, yeah. There you go. So you can see kind of these saw marks going through here. So that's what I'm trying to sand out. That's why I wanted to jump down a grit to 150 to kind of take care of those a little bit quicker. Let's see if we can get those out. Turn the sander back on. There we go. Look at that. Way better. Way better. Obviously it's not as smooth because it's just 150, it's not 220, but way better result. And those saw marks are gone now. You can just see the end grain. That's what we're looking for. I'm just gonna do that, I think, on every surface and then go back after the 220 and kind of cut through some stuff. Pull this off the edge a little bit so I can do this side angle. Sweet. It's going well so far. Keep her going. Go ahead and flip it over. No more mark. Got another saw mark here. Evenly sand around it to get rid of it. Letting the sandpaper do the work, not putting too much pressure. There we go, it's pretty much gone. Disappeared. All right, those are all set. Flip it over. Now I can hit the top. I'm gonna hit the edges first, actually. All right. Wipe off that dust, and then we'll get going here with throwing another coat on. All right. Oh, I almost forgot. I need to break this edge up top by hand. This little roundover that I put on there. Just need to get that sanded down real quick. Oop. Oh man. Beautiful. All right, that's nice. Nice and smooth all the way around. Everything feels good. Now we can flip it over and then throw another coat on there. I'm gonna put the coat on first before I start sanding the other one. That way this can be drying while I'm sanding this one. Take a peek, make sure the lives are still going well. All right, we're good. Right, second coat. Get some on there. Now I know for sure this one's not going to soak in as much because kind of already, oh, spilled a little bit. Already got kind of a coat going on there to seal everything. So now this one's going to be more of a, it's going to sit a little bit more on top. It'll still soak in a little bit in some areas, but for the most part, it's going to just chill. And again, I'm starting on the bottom. It's already looking really nice. Very professional. I'm really loving the 45 profile that we got going. I've seen it on some other projects that people do, and I love it so much. For some reason, that edge profile just looks so nice to me. All right, let's flip it over. And I can already tell that it's not popping the grain nearly as much. Might be popping just a tiny bit, but once we sand with 220 and then put another coat on there, it's gonna be totally fine. Gonna start treating it like a final coat now, even though it's not. Just pulling that all the way across there. All right. Looking good. Feeling smooth. Now we can move on to sanding the bigger one here. So we need to flip this one over. Whoa. Oh man, we're getting shaky. Getting shaky, folks. Okay. And I did almost forget, I do have the other piece that sits on top that I need to sand down as well as this, so we're working on that too. Oh man, almost dropped it. Okay. Trusty old 150 grit. That's pretty much all I'm going to do for sanding when it comes to the bottom, just because this is going to be underneath inside the cabinet. So no one's ever going to touch it, no one's ever going to see it. But I will still put another seal coat on this just to keep it nice and sealed from the elements and any moisture and stuff. Now the edges I will go ahead and sand down till 220. And I'll do like a little kind of edge all the way around. That way if people do put their fingers underneath, they'll feel something nice instead of the rough wood. I'm gonna get some tunes bumping while I'm doing this. All right. Gotta love sanding. Tedious process, but gotta do it. All right, now I need to try to flip this sucker over. There we go. I'll get that top going. I'm gonna do the edges first, actually. This one's ready for that second coat now. Go. A little too much on this time with this side here. Let's soak some of it up here. Give it a go, flip her over. Try to go a little bit lighter with the top here. Because I definitely don't want to goopy, gumming up the sandpaper or anything like that. So we're gonna give it a good squeeze out here. Okay. Getting it all over my gloves. And just do a little bit. Don't spill the container. pretty good there. Good coverage. Cool. Make sure there's no drips going on the sides here. All right. A tiny bit splashed on that one. It's a bit back and forth today. Now, see if this one's ready or not. I think it's close enough to being ready that I can go ahead and give it a sand. I'm gonna put 220 on now. I was doing 150 before. I'm gonna jump up to 220. Just trying to make everything soft now and feel nice. Buttery smooth. Bring it over so I can do this edge here. Oh, you guys couldn't even see me the whole time. My goodness. My goodness. This is why I like fast, fast drying finishes. What I was saying is this is why I like fast drying finishes, because you can just kind of go back and forth between two pieces. You can build it up quickly, it dries, sand it down, another coat, dries, sand it down. So you can kind of keep your rhythm going instead of having to like put it there and let it dry for like 24 hours and then come back later and sand and then put another coat, 24 hours. You get the idea. So that's why I really like fast drying finishes. I've used lacquer in the past, sprayed lacquer onto different projects, and I really like it because it literally dries like within 15 seconds. However, it is extremely kind of fumey, and you definitely need a whole setup for getting rid of those fumes. And it's not great for the environment either. Okay, so that last sanding with the 150 was kind of my that last coat of sanding with the 150, like I just did on that one, was kind of my prep sanding, surf prep. So my preparation sanding and getting everything nice and smooth, flat, getting all the little saw marks off. So now the 220 is just there to do a light sanding to smooth everything out, take off any extra little fuzzies that are sticking up. And it's doing a great job. It feels really smooth. Even this end grain is just buttery smooth. So we're gonna keep going. Over. So that's actually, I think, as much as I want to do for this before. I think I'm going to use some of this stuff here. It's an oil and wax. Oil and wax wood finish for new woodworking projects or restorations. So let me see what this says. Pretty much just wipe it on and let it sit 24 hours, then buff away the excess. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a test with this on my piece that I already put some polyurethane on. Yeah, I can't open that with my fingers on. Right. Interesting stuff. Just gonna use a paper towel to get a little bit on here and see how it interacts. Very interesting. Almost like a solid oil. Try some of that end grain. I think that'll work for me. Such an interesting mix. I'll show you guys here. So it's almost like a jelly. It's like a solidified oil. This is their furniture butter. Walrus oil furniture butter. Oil and wax wood finish. Very interesting stuff. I'm gonna let that sit for a little while, and then it feels like it'll be really nice on there. Give it a nice, smooth, buttery finish. That's what I'm looking for, is just putting some sort of wax, or I guess in this case a oil/wax finish. Because we already got that poly to kind of seal the wood and protect it, and then if we just add this on there, I think that'll do the trick. Yeah, I think I like that. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go for it. And it should have some wax in it, so it'll kind of be able to buff up. Now, do I want to use... I'm gonna cut this rag up and just use a piece of it. Just cut it in half. Yeah, that's going to provide the finish that I'm looking for. Put these gloves back on here. Time we got, I'm gonna go a little bit over today. We'll go like a little over 2 hours. Just gonna kind of try to soak up some of that furniture butter. Start slathering some on there, see how it goes. Very interesting stuff. Kind of rub it in there. Walrus oil coming through. It's such an odd consistency. It's like a wax feel, but it's like a jelly that turns into an oil. Very interesting. But it kind of sticks like a wax, so you can tell there's wax in it. And it's acting like an oil. It's kind of soaking in like an oil would. I like it. I am a fan so far. We'll see how it buffs off after it's dry. To come back next week and see the results. This is my first time using it. Using any walrus oil products, actually. It's actually kind of nice because unlike just a regular wax, this stuff kind of penetrates in the wood, which is nice. It's probably that oil in there penetrating in the wood. This is our finishing layer, so we're just gonna make sure everything's nice and smooth. We'll be able to buff off the excess anyways, but just to make sure. All right, that's good for that side. Now flip it over and do the top. Look at that little glob on there. Bloop. It's really nice. Makes that grain come out too, which is nice. I can see why they call it butter, because it does kind of go on like butter. Butter your boards. so far I've achieved pretty much exactly what I was going for with these tops, is essentially just getting a coat on there to seal it and putting kind of a finish on it that allows the grain to pop out but doesn't kind of darken the wood too much. Really just want to let it be light and natural looking. Make sure it's all soaked in everywhere. All right, now I'll go back and do kind of the finishing little pulls with my rag. Wipe away any excess. Make sure I'm going with the grain. All right, that's where we're gonna end it for the day, folks. Let me get you a close up here so we can see. If you'll be able to see kind of the shine on there or not. There you go, got a little shine going. Not bad at all. I'll definitely show it next week when it's, there we go, we got some light there to give a little bit of shimmer. So next week I'll come back and kind of buff away any of that excess wax on there. Well, we're making progress. It's coming along. Feeling smooth. I'm liking it. All right, guys, well, that's it for me today. Just a reminder, we're going to be at Harvey Industries and Bridge City Tools. We're going to be at the AWFS convention in Las Vegas. It's going to be the end of July, 25th to the 28th, I believe. So you're going to want to get your tickets. I'm going to be there. The rest of the crew is going to be there. The owner's going to be there. You'll get a chance to talk to some really awesome woodworkers. I know there's some really special people that are going to be there, special guests and stuff. So you're going to want to be there, meet them, hang out, talk woodworking, eat some good food. So definitely check that out. Again, AWFS convention, and that's going to be in Las Vegas, end of July. So check it out, get your tickets, get your flights. Cheap flights usually to Vegas, so check it out. All right, folks, well, that's it for me today. Wrapping up, just recap, we are working on the kind of the welcome desk, I guess you will, for the AWS convention that we're going to be at. We're going to bring in this guy to welcome you all as you come over and say hi to us. So that's what we got working on today. We were sanding these, putting a little bit of water-based finish on there, little water-based polyurethane, clear satin, and we went through and put some on, let that grain pop, went through and sanded with 150 grit, then brought it up to 220, put another coat on there, sanded again, and then putting this furniture butter on there. First time using it, and so far I really like it. So that's what we had going on today. Oh, also we got the cabinet over here sanded on the outside. So just a lot of sanding today. I know it's a little bit boring, but that's woodworking for you. You know, not everything's all shiny and exciting every time you do something. So, yep, doing it, making sure we're doing the right steps and making sure everything's looking good. So Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Happy Friday tomorrow. Got the weekend coming. You guys can do it. Keep pushing through. My name is Brandon, if you don't know. I have another business, Alder Craftsmanship, if you want to check out that page. See me on Instagram. So anyways, you guys have a great day, and I'm going to keep rolling on this a little bit. And then next week we should be painting the cabinet and then seeing how this turns out. So it's going to be exciting. So we'll see you guys next week. We do it every Thursday. We do a live, 12 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.